Let me change the color actually so y'all can see this easier. Okay, these are the tiers. Essentially, I mean, this is more geared towards newer players. That's what it was last year as well. Uh, Basically, it's just a list of frames that are effective at different like levels of investment, essentially. So let's start with Ash. Ash, I would say he's usable in pretty much every part of the game. Uh, Really good at like a cascade, really good disruption. That hasn't changed at all over the past year or anything. I would argue probably you don't need too much investment for Ash. If I'm being honest, for Ash to be able to do like a lot of the so I mentioned like cascade disruption type of stuff. So I'd say medium investment to high output. Um, he's more of a late game frame for sure though. Not in like terms of like acquiring him, especially not right now because you know you have the what's it called the resurgence right now, so you can get him easier. So yeah, there's that. Atlas Atlas is good. Very high damage output, pretty hard to kill. Um, Depending on the build, obviously. That's I mean to be real, like pretty much every frame here, like especially currently, like with old piece and stuff, is like I'm not gonna say unkillable, but like yeah, it's really hard to kill warframes currently, or like get killed while using any of these warframes realistically, other than a specific few. But even then, there's certain like setups and stuff to where you just don't die. So I would argue Atlas is high investment, high output, for his damage and stuff because that's a lot of one. It's a lot of forma, um, just to get Atlas where he needs to be build wise for like just his normal build and then also his build for his melee. And it's also an arcane. Well, that's also like three arcane slots, yeah. Because he used the melee arcane for his his landslide. You have his two arcanes, obviously, like normal arcanes. You have Forma, all that. And then, yeah. I mean, it's not too much. Like, there's some that are going to be more, I would argue, to invest in, but you'll see. Um, Banshee. Banshee's, yeah, definitely high investment. High investment, and I would say, I mean, Banshee's up there with like some of the best damage dealers easily, just off of sonar and silence. So yeah, I'd say high output, with high investment because you do need to invest a little bit, like a good amount into Banshee, to be survivable like higher levels, and just like I would say like EDA and TDA content stuff like that. So it does take a little bit. Baruch, I would say Baruch is technically high investment, technically, just because the same issue was Atlas. You have to not only like forma and mod the Warframe, you have to also forma and mod like the Exalted. So because I'm gonna be real, I think most of the Exalted frames are gonna be high investment, high output, just because you're modding essentially like two Warframes at once. Not two Warframes at once, but you know what I mean. Like you're modding two things rather than just modding the frame itself, investment wise. So yeah, that's why Baruch is going here. Baruch is insane though, like extremely hard to kill. Um, Literally just like regardless of level is like nuking everything. So yeah, that's just one of those frames for sure. Caliban after the changes, I'd say I think Caliban's medium investment currently because you don't necessarily need shards on Caliban, but Like that's also something you could do to make him better. But that would, you know, like that's like a choice thing. Like if you want high investment on the frame, I guess more than anything. So I would put Caliban here currently, just based off of I guess the new augments and stuff too, that have been really good for Caliban. So yeah, Chroma, um, hmm, high investment, high output now because of arcane persistence and obviously battery for energy tanking. But persistence especially just because it's like he's damn near immortal now. Like some other frames that are going to be on the list soon. But yeah, like he already has built-in damage. And then you also choose like the buffs you want based on your element. So there's also that. Then, I mean, subsume slots for like the 4 or the 1, just depending on what you're looking for. Also, still like Chroma's credit frame. So I mean, yeah, like there's so much utility to Chroma. I would argue, but that doesn't like necessarily factor into this. It's more just how much you invest to get that utility. I mean, technically, there's builds out there right now actually that are like one forma for Chroma, and I don't know. Technically, this could be a low investment frame. It just depends on what you're using Chroma for. So I'll put it this way: Chroma can be like a low investment, medium like mid output, or a high investment, high output. It just really depends. Like I've seen like one forma builds for like credit farming for Chroma, or I've seen like other builds obviously for like damage and like late game stuff for Chroma, which is why I'm putting him high investment, especially currently with Old Piece, because of the new arcanes and like the stuff he can like just do, which is kind of absurd. So yeah, Chroma, I would say high investment, high output. Ember, I don't. I would say you're not really investing too much into Ember currently. Like, I mean, she's overguard with her augment. Like, I guess I don't know. It depends on what do you consider uh getting an augment to be like a high investment? Because I personally don't like augments. If you're paying for an augment and it's more than like 10 plat, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, you're running Ember's augment for her 3. You could run her 1 augment as well for weapons platform. There's other builds you can do as well depending on the level you are at the game, or where you're at rather in the game. So I honestly don't think you're not investing too much into Ember. I think Ember is definitely a high output frame though. Cause like, okay, I put it this way. Ember is kind of I'm not gonna say like a side grade, but like honestly, yeah, kind of a side grade Saren, but like with better survivability off of the augment with the overguard spamming. So there's that. I mean, technically, energy spam could be a high investment type of thing, but it really just depends. I mean, equilibrium exists, symphony constructs, all types of stuff currently in Warframe. Which like if this was like 2 years, not 2 years ago or something, yeah, this would be different. But I do think Ember is like a medium investment, high output frame currently. Let's see here. Let's see here. Equinox is. I mean, there's really like two builds for Equinox right now, and it's like different subsumes for it. I mean, it just depends. I mean, we'll have to see, like with Old Piece, like how the arcanes and all that affects Equinox. I guess. Like, because I haven't really seen anybody talk about Equinox since the update. I probably need to test some stuff out myself. I gotta farm some more of the arcanes myself though to do that. So when I have a chance, I'll see. But based off of where Equinox was beforehand and like what I'm thinking currently, like with the current arcanes and all that stuff, I kind of think Equinox is like probably gonna be our first low investment, medium output. Just because there's not too much diversity to what you. Well, I mean, there is. That's not true. There is diversity to what Equinox can do. There definitely is. It's more so just I don't know. It's more so build diversity because like the main thing, like when I think Equinox, usually I'm thinking like Caliban Subsume, uh, and four on day form, or I'm thinking Nourish day form, or like an energy transfer setup with Night Day, like in Nourish or like Roar or something similar to that. So that's I don't know. Off of that, I think low investment but medium output. Like it's not. I don't know. It's not a bad thing though. Obviously, it just depends. And like I said, this could be updated at some point soon because I haven't tested out the new arcanes with Equinox or anything like that. So we'll see. Excalibur. Um, let's see here. Excalibur. If you're, I kind of wish Umbra was separate because technically, they're not two different frames necessarily, but they have two different functionalities, especially depending on if you like using your operator or not. And I would say normal Excalibur is better than Umbra, even still. Like I know Warriors Rush exists, I get that, but at the same time, you're sacrificing an augment mod, and you don't want to do that. Not with current Warframe. Like you want to have all your mod slots available. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. You don't even necessarily need Chromatic Blade on Excalibur currently to make him insane damage wise, but that's something you could do. Like he has so many like build options currently. I would argue, melee build options obviously, but yeah. Off of that, I think. I mean, it's another high investment off the rip though. I'll say that because, like I said with Baruch, it's a hot like it's a situation where you do actually need to put in a lot into the frame. But with the Excalibur, I think the difference between Excalibur and Baruch, well, one Baruch you don't get till Fortuna, um, or at the earliest, right? Because they moved the circuit story, the Deviri story rather, to later on. Like that, I remember it was like for new game players. Like if it still was, I would say, I would argue Baruch could be put at like medium investment, but that's not the case. So yeah, Excalibur is easy to get. Obviously, he's your starter, or you get him from one of the bosses in the star chart. So they're like it's not hard to acquire him. It's just I don't know. It's a thing of like I feel like if you start with an Excalibur currently, like any of the starter frames just in general can take you through the game quite easily. Like you don't necessarily need to even change frames. I can't think of many missions where you would need to necessarily. As long as you like learn the mission types, obviously, like spy, and just general mission types for Warframe. So yeah, like I was saying, long-winded way to say that yeah, Excalibur high investment, high output. But I would still argue you could say low investment just because starter frame, take them through the game, easy to acquire, things like that do factor in. I would argue for this. Frost I think is in the same boat as Ember, medium investment but high output. Like you don't have to put too much into Frost, and Frost will do a lot for you just based off the overguard. Based off the changes to cold last year, based off the changes to enemy scaling from Jade Shadows, and the armor changes that were I don't remember what update it was. It was recent though. There was like a recent armor change that like streamlined armor in Warframe for enemies. So based off those two things, I would say yeah, Frost is up there right now for sure. He's great. You have to invest way too much into him either. Like I said, however, if you do, this is a powerhouse of a frame, just in general. Gara. Honestly, I don't want to put all the exalted like weapon frames in the same place, but they kind of. I'm not gonna lie, investment wise, I think they are. I mean, Gara you can get early, kind of similar story to Excalibur, but it's like you have to do size vigil and then farm bounties on the plains, which I mean new players should do anyways, right? So yeah, I mean you're gonna get this frame passively, normal or prime, so yeah, I don't know. Like Gar is extremely really good benefits a lot from the what's it called? The Infested Lich update. What the fuck was that called, bruh? It was the one where Flare or Temple came. It was that update. I don't remember what it was called. 1999 Part 2. I don't remember. Tekra Encore. There we go. There we go. Tekra Encore. Yeah. When all the exalteds got updated, or the pseudo exalteds rather, got updated to be moddable. So yeah, this Gar is extremely good. Has always been extremely good. And has really only gotten better. So yeah, I'd still say high investment though. Just off of you do need, like, if I would say, like, if you're a new player, this is probably a high investment Warframe just off of the fact that, like, it's not a fact necessarily, but it's you're more comfortable running Gara if you have Croton mods, if you have like a lot of former to spend, if you have Catalyst, if you stuff like that. So yeah, Gara, high investment, high output. Garuda, this is our first low investment but high output easily because one, Garuda is like one of the most slept on but like crazy frames in the game, just damage potential wise and survivability wise, because it's really hard to die with this frame. Off of just the kit that Garuda has, being able to just block damage from any direction is really good. Also, the force slash from the floor and the buildup of damage that you can easily accumulate without power strength as well is like ridiculous. The only thing you necessarily need on Garuda, like, you don't need strength too much, like I said, because it's an infinitely scaling type of Warframe. There's multiple that are like this. But Garuda is, I'd say, one of the ones that does it like best easily. Garuda, I don't know, kind of hard to acquire for a new player, but they did make for tune-up grinding easier. So I mean, that's just going to Venus and grinding, to, like, you know what I mean. So it's not necessarily the hardest thing in the world. You could argue medium investment because of the grind for Garuda, I guess, but I don't know. It's not like you're investing too much to make Garuda work. Like, it's like new player, like, you pick up Garuda, you put on range and duration mods, and you're kind of set. You don't necessarily care about your efficiency. You just bloodletter year 2, and you just get your energy back, and you just play like that. I mean, yeah, Molt Reconstruct exists, and that would take a little bit for a newer player to get to, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think that would be too hard to get necessarily. Like getting to Zarman currently, especially with the changes to the new war quest for new players and all the other stuff. I feel like you're getting there kind of fast if you obviously prioritize doing that. So I would say low investment, high output for Garuda. It's not too hard to make Garuda like crazy. Garuda is just crazy out of the box. So yeah, I mean, you could argue medium, like I said, but that's like the lowest I would go for Garuda. Gauss, newer player or like mid game player farming Kappa Sedna over and over again. I mean, it's just RNG if you get the frame or not, I guess. So I'll go medium but high output because I mean Gauss, whichever one. It's just one of those frames that has like not only just a crazy cohesive kit, but just is like really strong. So I would put medium investment, high output for Gauss personally. Gar is medium to high investment in my opinion. Yeah, I have Gara high investment, high output because I mean Gara is insane. Damage wise and also just like versatility wise, you can do different things. But like the thing is, I'm putting this from the lens of like a new or like a mid game player, like, you know what I'm saying, like somewhere around there to where like you have access to all these frames, but you're not like, you don't have everything available for them is what I'm kind of thinking of. So that's kind of how I'm doing this, or like going off of this essentially. I don't really think any frames are gonna be like high investment for low output, other than like one off the top of my head. But yeah, yeah, I definitely agree with you on Gara though for sure. Grendel, I'm gonna be real. I still think every other frame, not every other frame, but like most other frames use his subsume better than him in most content. I'll say that. So that's not like, although Grindel is really good. I know he's good. I know he can do a lot, crowd control and technically damage wise. So yeah, and he's pretty good survivability wise too. I'll go medium investment, but like medium output as well. You don't have to put too much. I'm at medium investment, high output. Gara mats are easy to free run, plus she's in circuit. That's true. Gara is in circuit. You're right. But the thing is, I'm saying, I guess maybe. But the only reason I'm kind of keeping like the pseudo exalted frames here, though, Draco, is because think about it. Like players have to invest like maybe you don't have to, obviously, but for a lot of the builds, like you're investing not only into like forming Gara and like getting corrupted mod and stuff like that, you're investing into like Gara's pseudo exalted for the one. Because I mean, let's be real, no player, if you look up Gara on YouTube and like see like the crazy stuff that Gara is doing after Tekra Encore, damage wise, is gonna like not want to use like the one. You know what I mean? And for that, that's more Forma, that's more investment, that's arcanes as well. So I feel like that's a high investment off of that. Now, a new player doesn't have access to that stuff. So, but the thing is, if they had access to it, they would invest that. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's not like they wouldn't. There's no way you wouldn't invest higher, like more into Gara, knowing what Gara can do. That's kind of why like I'm kind of stuck here. And like there's an argument for medium. There's an argument, but I don't know. That's fair. When I used Gara or gave her Prime away, they were like, "Why did you tell me?" Yeah, that's not. Also, like, yeah, tap hold abilities. Gyre, newest Prime, and a really fun frame. Uh, Gyre, I'm gonna say immediately high investment, high output. Gyre can do level cap pretty easily. There's builds for Gyre that are just like steel path nukes. However, Gyre is a high investment frame. If you're running Gyre, you would like to have two purples for electric damage on ability. You would like to have strength. You would like to have casting speed, shards, stuff like that. You would love, if you're on Gyre, to have her augment for her third cathode grace. You would love to have that. That is like honestly a must run. Unfortunately, I feel like any frame that has like a must run augment, low key, is kind of high investment by default. But like I said, it's not hard to get. It's not hard to get their what's it called? Their augment. Like I said, like if somebody charges you more than 10 plat for an augment, they are trying to scam you. I don't care if it's a new augment. Let's see here. 10-15 platinum, my fault. But yeah, Gyre, off the fact that you have to run, like, I mean, you don't have to, obviously, but you're just nerfing Gyre at that point if you're not running cathode. And you don't have to run a reverse rotor swell, you don't. But it is very nice. It is really good to have. So that's why I'd say high investment, high output personally. Let's see. Haro. I don't know what's changed for Haro with the new update, to be honest. I'd have to like look into that. Arcane wise and like stuff like that, but I do think Haro is like a medium investment but high output type of frame. Because one, blueprint from a quest, it's not necessarily hard to get Haro normal. Now you do have to do defection, which is annoying as hell. But it's not hard. Like, it's not hard, but it is annoying. So it's one of those. Haro Prime is also easier to get than Haro normal. His fourth mod, a new duration arcane. Yeah, the duration arcane. That probably would be insane on Haro, huh? I know it's insane on Gauss. I haven't looked at anything new for Haro though. Like I said, Haro is definitely a medium investment though. I think if you get Haro Prime early-ish, that's a good frame that can really take you through a lot of content. That's a frame like with minimal investment. You're basically just shield getting for free based off the first ability, and it's not too hard to survive with this frame. Most people will not grind because of defections. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh wait, is Haro isn't circuit, huh? You know what? Never mind. He's not. I'm gonna be real, huh? I'll keep a medium investment because like the way to acquire the frame is part of this ranking to an extent. But if he's in circuit, like that's still a little bit ways away for most new players, so that's fine. Give me medium investment. Still a great frame. Hildren, high investment, high output. Similar reason to the melee exalted frames. You're modding two things. You're not modding one. You're modding Hildren for the shield, survivability, and all that stuff. Also for power strength, and then you're also modding the balefire for just being able to nuke the entire tile set. That's what you're modding this frame for mainly, and yeah, off of that, like usually power strength builds are like the highest cost builds, unfortunately. So yeah, that kind of pushes Hilgen up a little bit in my opinion, investment wise, because if I don't know, I feel like if Hilgen was easier to get using return to circuit, yeah. That's what I'm saying. The build costs more. Builds cost more for this frame, and you're using is really one build. It's really one build for this frame, and it's a high investment build. Like it's a like 4 power shank shard type of build. You could do 5. It's different shard you could do in the middle. It's whatever, but that's a high investment frame in my opinion. Hydroid. Shit. Honestly, I'm thinking medium investment, but like medium output. Yeah, yeah. Cause Vahek farm not hard to do. It is a not annoying boss fight, but like the hitbox is really small for the head on Vahek. So if you bring weapons that are like inaccurate, you're not having a fun time, obviously. Bro, what is this? New emotes, and sub badges. Let's see here. Yeah, Hydroid, you can get him pretty early on. Pretty good frame for farming stuff. Farm frames are usually not too crazy investment wise, except for one. We'll talk about that frame later. Uh, Hydroid is relatively. I'm not gonna say crazy investment, but like not low investment because you do have to invest a little bit into this frame. Augment mods, obviously Forma, but I don't know. Like if you want to go shard, you go corrosive or like strength stuff like that. So, bro, spamming the emotes, crazy. Yo, what is that? Anyways, yeah, good frame though. Great frame. Like, genuinely, for the most part, most like I would say out of like the 63 frames in the game, like 59 to like 61 of them are just all like worth using for like just general play stuff like that. So yeah, there's not really like a bad frame currently. Let's see here. Anaros. High investment, high output. Arcane persistence exists now. Chroma is effectively immortal with high investment because you have to grind the new stuff. So I'm assuming most players, not most, but like players that aren't at the old piece yet are not farming this yet. So yeah, it's a high investment build to make Anaros work, especially higher levels. If you're doing Cascade, if you're doing Disruption, if you're doing EDA, TDA, stuff like that. So Yeah, high investment, high output. Ivara. Hmm. Hold on. Let's see here. Where's my Ivara? This would be the first like in-game example I'll use. Me personally, I have two Ivara primes. The reason being, one, there's builds that I like to use for the Artemis Bow Prime, and there's certain setups for Ivara where you're not using the bow. Like you're just not using the bow at all. There's a lot of stuff you can do for Ivara. Ivara is a very versatile frame. I think people really sleep on this frame like a lot in terms of what this frame can do and what this frame is all about. Obviously, like Ivara has the quiver, arrows. Like people don't use noise. I mean, you're not really gonna use noise. It's really rarely gonna use that one. But the other three are very, very useful. Bubble, you can put on a companion, and well, a sentinel, and just have like moving invisibility. You don't have to use prowl necessarily. However, prowl is insane. It gives you extra loot in a certain radius. If you're running a ranged strength build for Ivar, for example, you're gonna be getting extra loot just passively. There's also the headshot damage multiplier, which effectively acts as if you're using primary deadhead and adds on to that multiplier that you get to headshots. So that is insane. Like any weapon that benefits from headshots is going to be crazy on Ivara. And if you're thinking that's just bows, no, it's not. There's things like the Coda Basis. There's things like the Sobek. There's just like any shotgun that can do like a lot of AoE clear is gonna be insane with this. Strun is also crazy on Ivara. So there's just different things and setups you can use on Ivara that are very good, very versatile. However, that leads me to what I'm going to say next. Ivara is definitely a high investment frame. Like, you don't have to even run what I'm running on her, but I like running prowl, so I have the two parkour velocity just so I can like actually move around kind of fast. And I have the two ability strength for reasons. Don't worry about it. Which one was I on before? Was it this one? Nah, it was probably this one. Yeah. And yeah, that being said, Ivar is definitely high investment. That's not a question. High investment, high output. If you learn how to use Ivar's kit, there's a variety of builds that are just insane and fun to use. Korra, that is an immediate high investment, high output. This is probably another example I could show. Let me see. Korra. My current Korra doesn't have shards. I've been moving shards around recently, so I don't really have shards on the frames I normally do. But as you can see, I have 3 Korras. Don't ask me why. Um, don't worry about it. Right, this was my second Korra after subsuming the first one, and I just have these two now, essentially. But yeah, Core is another frame that uses multiple builds. However, for the most part for Core, which you are going to be doing, you're going to be popping this crazy 4 right here, just spamming it over and over again. Same with the one with accumulating whip claw, which also has builds. And you're also oh yeah, I forgot. Core is like a triple threat because you have your built-in Kavat too. That's so many mods. That's just so like it's not really too much forma necessarily. Like this is one forma on this, and you don't necessarily need much else. But like realistically, it depends. Like obviously, if you want the companion to do stuff, then you are gonna invest format into it. Obviously, that's just really that's anything in Warframe. Like if you want it to do things, if you want like a weapon or frame to do stuff, like at a large scale, you're gonna invest into it. So that's just what it is. Whip Claw to form a build. I haven't really been using too much core recently. I'm not gonna lie. That's also why I changed this the shards off. But Korra is a great frame overall. Another loot frame, but also an exalted, pseudo exalted really frame. And hold on, let me see. Yeah, I'm sure concentration would be insane on Korra actually, because I'm pretty sure it's like not multiplicative ability duration, but just additive. Additive is in like it'll just go off of your base duration and just add on, like just straight up. So this will be like 60% more to the base duration of dispensary and not to the modded duration. So yeah, this is probably gonna be crazy for core. I'm assuming core is gonna be really like a lot easier. Not easier, but let's see, less hands on. I guess would be a better word because you'd have way more Shringodome duration than this can provide you right here. So yeah, Korra, high investment, very high output, great farm frame, overall, great overall frame. Lavos, um, I'm pretty sure Lavos is a high output frame, but high investment. Like you're investing a decent amount, especially like currently. Persistence Lavos is definitely a thing. So yeah, off of that alone, I'm thinking, yeah, you're investing a lot of form into levels too. To not to make them work necessarily, because like I'm Lavos is clearing a lot of like most content in the game, like with low investment. So it's not even a like a potency thing. It's just Lavos is just one of those higher investment frames in my opinion. I mean, you're farming Deimos or you're farming the Prime for this frame. Uh, Limbo. Hmm. I don't play too much in Limbo. I don't necessarily enjoy the frame personally. So, but I do know that there's like setups for Limbo that are like really good. I don't know. I think Limbo's like a medium output type of frame though. Just like overall, obviously Limbo has like ways to like just not be immortal, obviously because XMS can still mess you up, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm putting Limbo medium investment, medium output. I know, like I've literally watched a couple other YouTubers. I think there's one I'm thinking of. I don't remember the name, but dude mains Limbo. Like he's Limbo only completely, and he is Limbo's greatest soldier. So, and I've seen him do a lot of crazy things with that Limbo. So I know Limbo is can be crazy. I'm not gonna say that he's a crazy investment frame. You don't have to necessarily invest too much into him to get him to be good. I know that. So yeah, I'll say medium investment, medium output. Low key. Um, I'm torn between high investment, medium output, and medium investment, medium output, just because like there's setups for like each of Loki's augments that are pretty decent. Minus radio disarm, you don't really care about that necessarily. It's not that good. It can be situationally good, but it's not. You're not constantly like you're not hopping on Warframe if you're a Loki main, and you're not sitting there like, oh, let me use radio disarm today. That's not what you're doing. You're probably trying to use damage decoy, save your decoy, or I can see like hush invisibility for general play, stuff like that. Um, hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking medium investment, medium output for Loki as like a utility frame that you're constantly being invisible. You're not like it's not hard to stay alive with this frame at all. So yeah, I'm going medium investment for this. Mag, mag. Let's see. I'd say medium investment, high output. Um, Once again, starter frame, also easy to acquire type of frame. So there's that going for mag, but then also mag is just insanely strong just as a frame overall. You have built-in shield gating off of your second ability, and yeah, I mean you have pull with the augment for loot, which is usually you're using on other frames, you're not necessarily using on mag, but like obviously greedy pull is good on mag still. Um, let's see here. Magnetize, insane damage potential, polarize, shield gating built in, stripping enemies of their defenses also, so that's insanely helpful. And then crush with usually the augment, fracturing crush for the built-in extra casting speed, and also very helpful and beneficial for one keeping enemies like off your back, and two it's also a shield gating type of thing because you're probably running brief respite on mag or you're running auger mods, one of the two realistically. I mean you're not running auger mods on something like mag. uh Medium investment though, high output. Mesa, high investment, high output. Once again, another frame where there's different builds. I would say kind of a similar boat to Korra. Not necessarily though. All right, look. So there's melee setups. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will remember like, well, if you know basically. Hold on, let me find the Mesa. It's my other Mesa Prime. Or it's one of these two. I don't remember. It's one of these two that has the build I'm thinking of. It's this one. Yeah. Uh, there are builds for Mesa where you're using something like a Siam that was more like it was like popular last year, kind of. And then there's just other like it's just melee. There's melee Mesa, right? And you have your normal, you know, five crimson, not crimson, topaz, Talforge shards for your secondary critical chance. Technically, you could use different shards. You could not use shards. You're just leaving damage on the table though. What do I have on here? It was not precision. It was velocity. Aegis, I think. Let me see. No, I definitely wasn't Aegis. What was I running? I saw an arcane yesterday. I think I had it maxed out, so I just couldn't tell which one was which. I think that's on me. Actually no. If I saw it yesterday, yeah, it was Aegis then. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. There's different builds. Or was it augment? Hold on. Let me see something. This was dispensary. Huh. My fault. I'm like really confused right now because I'm sure if it was Aegis, I would have had like prime redirection or something on, or just something for my shields because I'm not running a 1.2 shield recharge. But I mean, I guess it's fine. Whatever. Yeah, it's another frame, exalted frame. You are running an exalted that does require forma for, well, it doesn't require forma for it to be good because you're clearing most content with like, hold on, I'm not really using this config, so I'll just remove this stuff real quick. Like you're clearing normal content realistically, like Star Chart for example. You put on like Horner Strike, you put on, let's see, fire rate, Lethal Torrent, Gunslinger, and like a normal Bane mod. So like you don't even need that actually. You put on that stuff and you put on elements, like you put on Lyro, and then you also have like heat afterwards. Something like this. Like you're clearing what like normal Star Chart. I'm not gonna lie. It's not. You're not having problems. You're just not. But obviously you're gonna want Forma for this. This is a high investment frame, and the reason I'm using base and normal is because the regulators shoot faster. So yeah, high investment, high output for sure. That's not even like a question in my opinion. I feel like most players know, like you do invest a lot into Mesa to make Mesa like crazy. Mirage. Yeah, straight to high investment. This is another high investment frame easily. Let me go to my Mirage. This is another frame where I have two of the primes with multiple builds, and the main reason being, okay, bruh, I gotta re-put Aegis on a bunch of frames, my bad. Anyways, there's just different setups, especially for a frame like Mirage, who has like absurd damage if you're modding for it. Like you don't even have to necessarily mod for it. Like I would say even, let's see here. Do I have a base? Yeah, base strength. Base strength. Let's see. Hell, you can run negative strength and you still get an 80% damage increase on your Eclipse, and it's multiplicative because on Mirage it is, but other frames is not. So, yeah. That's just, yeah. Very crazy frame. A lot of builds that you can run on this frame. Very versatile as well, like I said. And, yeah, I literally have two Mirages. One for arbitrations, one for, like, every other build. Just because the arbitration build was, like, a lot. It was just a lot of different forma I needed to run. This was before, the Omniformer change though, so I might need to change that soon. But yeah, we'll see. This is like I said, very strong frame. Makes pretty much any weapon in the game like just hilariously strong. So yeah, great frame. Very versatile. Like I said, I could like I'm running Energy Max for like one or two builds that I've been testing recently, and I might change these back to strength. But like I said, versatile frame, you don't necessarily need it. You don't really need it on this frame, like I said. But yeah, very strong frame. Necros. Well, for Necros, I would like let's say what are we determining as high output actually? Because I'm not gonna sit here and say Necros is high output. Not really. But he's not hard to make work, though. That's another thing. Like he's like the most basic of the like farming frames. Like there's not too much else going on other than like the farm, obviously the farming abilities, and he's like not hard, like I said, to make work. Let's see here. I literally just have two casting speeds on mine because, bro, damn. I sold the wrong Aegis yesterday. That's crazy. I mean, they're both rank 5, but like, I gotta like put Aegis back on like mother frames. But like I said, there's different builds for this frame, but for the most part, you're not investing too much. And I would argue it's much easier to invest into something like range than it is to invest into something like strength because of mods like Umbral Intensify, Blind Rage, Transient 4. Like these are the main three, obviously, but there's just different reasons to invest into strength for different frames. And this is one of those frames that doesn't necessarily need strength like that. So, yeah, like you have a bunch of different builds you can run, but he's not necessarily a frame that needs strength other than for like Terrify and sometimes Shadows of the Dead. If you're running a build that amplifies your Shadows of the Dead to do actual damage on level, so yeah. You're mainly running Desecrate, Despoil. I mean, you can run it without Despoil, but I don't know why you would personally. I mean, Equilibrium exists. It's the freest layup of your life. You're just getting so many health orbs. Yeah, Necros is definitely medium output in my opinion because you're mainly using him for farming. Like medium, like put it this way, uh, farming is very important in this game. It's like it's one of the main things you're doing at all times. But I'm not gonna say that alone puts it a frame in like high output. I'd say high output is like a frame that is not only good at their niche, but is also like strong in most like very strong in most areas of the game, regardless of what you're doing. Neza, that's very easy high output. Very easy. Let's see. I just took off some shards for Neza and gave them I think to Jair. But yeah. Neza even after the divination range nerf for the fourth augment, Neza's still insane. It's just yeah. It's hard to argue that Nez is a bad frame in any capacity. I've not changed this build in a minute. I have to change that soon. But what was on here? Oh, Smite. That's right. Yeah. Neza is a room clearing frame. Very hard to kill off of warding Halo, but also because on top of warding Halo, you are able to run Brief Respite. You can do something like this. You can run Aegis. You can run anything else for survivability if you want to. And it's hard to kill this frame, especially when everything in the room is on spikes and getting insta-killed for like a ridiculous amount of heat damage or just combined elemental damage. So yeah, this is a crazy frame. Very crazy frame. You are running augments though. You are probably running strength shards or I mean you could say I guess if you really it's weird. Like if you wanted to run like a random secondary or something, you could run like heat because Neza does spread heat damage. Even though any what's it called? Any subsumes. So yeah, Neza is a great frame. Great frame, great damage. Good, low key good all arounder. Just because you have traversal in the kit. From the one Firewalker. If Thunder wasn't on my frame right now, but I can't change that. I mean I can, but I'm not doing that right now. Defensive ability, crowd control / room nuke, divination, and yeah, great frame, high investment though. Nidus, high investment, persistence. I'm not gonna say more. Nova, high investment. I can show Nova, I guess. Recently removed shards once again, but yeah. Nova, you can run a lot of things. but more than likely you're probably running Nourish, Hotshot, and Aegis on Nova, which is a next to unkillable build, especially if you're running both Neutron Star and Molecular Fission, but it's preference. Like this is a very strong mod, but I'm not removing it currently. Let's see. Nova is a very versatile frame. You can use Nova for a lot, like pretty much everything in the game. You can use Nova for. If you're farming Aya bounties, or when Plague Star was around, Wormhole, Decoy. For the what's it called? The first bounty, like the first step in the cave. Then there's also the Aya farm stuff. I personally use Silence when I'm farming Aya, like Plains of Eidolon. And yeah, also the anti-mana drop can be used to destroy some Steel Path stuff. I wouldn't really be looking to use this in Steel Path personally. I would more use obviously the one. Null Star. I would probably like you're obviously using Molecular Prime. Slowing or speeding up enemies is insanely useful, and doing double the damage as well. Um, let's see. Yeah, there's just multiple. Like there's just so many builds you can do on a frame like Nova. Nova's a very very good frame, and technically, if you are a newer player and you just got to Europa and you farm Nova, I would argue, well, one, Nova could just take you through the entire game, and two, it's not hard to make Nova like a strong frame. Because I would think by the time you get to Europa, you've already farmed for most of the corrupted mods, so you have corrupted mod access, and you have access to like just general utility mods and stuff to make like just general gameplay better. So I would think honestly, medium output, yeah, medium output, high medium investment rather, and high output for Nova. Next. Um, yeah. Nyx is ridiculously strong. There's really like no reason if you just picked up Nyx from the infested what's it called? The alerts that show up every once in a while for like the forward boss. I don't remember what the things are called. I have not done those in a minute, I'll be honest. Oh no, I think it's literally called invasions actually. Yeah. Like sometimes invasions will show up and it'll be like infested and you'll have to fight them, and at the end you'll have to fight the forward boss that will drop Nyx parts. Nyx is a ridiculous frame on the level of like Revenant that essentially cannot die. And it doesn't take much to make Nyx not die. Like it really just takes, if you want to do it the lazy way, assimilate and like energy effective stuff like equilibrium and normal flow. You'll get equilibrium from like really early if you, as long as you farm for Necros. Very early. That's all you have to do. You farm Necros, you get equilibrium passively from the boss. But I think even before that, you get like a mandatory equilibrium copy. So yeah, there's no reason not to have equilibrium. You have it. I know you have it. Yeah, this is a very very strong frame. This build is more than likely outdated. So I haven't used Nyx in a little while. I'll be honest. So yeah. I'll probably use Nyx again soon-ish for like level cap or something. I'll record it if I do that, but yeah. Nyx is very strong. Very, very strong. And I think if you have the opportunity, if you see the alert for Nyx, like at the invasions for the infested, do them please if you're a newer player. Please, please, please just do it. Just do it. Literal immortal frame, an augment that'll cost you 10 plat max. Yeah, that's all you got to do. You get assimilate, you get like streamline and like normal continuity on Nyx, and you just can't die. You quite literally cannot die. That's, yeah, have fun. Oberon, high investment, high output. Let's see here. I'm waiting to put on like radiation or corrosive shards. One of the two. I don't know which I'm gonna do on Oberon yet. We'll see. But yeah, Oberon's a very strong frame. It's not really. I wouldn't say it's crazy hard to mod Oberon. I know his normal is like a little bit harder to get now, if I'm not mistaken. Like you have the railjack for normal Oberon now. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, and you can correct me in the comments if I am. But yeah, let's see here. Let me go to his normal config real quick. Oh yeah, renewal for the team. Right. There's multiple builds for Oberon that allow Oberon to room nuke. Smite was always a great ability even before it got. I don't know why they buffed it, but they did. And yeah, very strong, very very powerful ability for the one. Always has been. Hollow Ground is way better now. Oberon's passive alone is ridiculous. If I'm being honest, it is essentially just Mesmer Skin for health orbs, which is why if you're on Oberon, you're running Universal Fallout. Which I guess that could make it medium investment because you do have to do 1999 farming for that, but that's, I mean, it's not the biggest deal. You don't need it. It's not mandatory. I mean, let me put it this way. If you're doing Cascade or something, I would say Universal Fallout is mandatory just because you want to guarantee the health orbs every time. So for that, yeah, but most content in the game, you're good. I promise you're good. Like, yeah, builds in armor strip, and yeah, like 35 meters of just straight armor like just armor strip for no reason. Not for no reason, you know what I mean. Just being able to like reduce armor around, even though enemies are weaker, it's still useful. It's still useful. It just lets you do more damage. There's no reason to be mad at that, like, at all. So, yeah, very strong frame. You can argue Oberon investment wise to be medium, but I'd say high investment personally. Octavia, I say medium. Medium investment because, as it's always been with Octavia, let me find my config real quick. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have any shards right now on Octavia. I haven't used Octavia in a while because I got bored. I'll be real. Yeah. I mean, there's stuff like this that you can run Octavia where you're just, I mean, you're always invisible off of year 3. But, yeah. Very strong frame. makes enemies do damage to themselves. So you technically don't even have to do damage to the enemies. Like technically you don't, but yeah. Strong self buffer. Uh, turns off enemy AI. Just very broken frame. Always has been. Broken in the sense of like extremely strong, not actually breaking the game, by the way, so don't get mad when I say that. Yeah. Very strong frame. High investment though. Um, no, not really. Medium investment, because yeah, yeah. You don't actually need too much to make Octavia Octavia by herself. You don't necessarily need any ability strength. You don't need much other than duration. So I would say medium investment and the argument for low investment for Octavia to be crazy. Protea, medium investment. You're probably running Arc. You're definitely running Archon Vitality, and that's post Noir to acquire your farming call missions to get that, or you're just buying it with plat. And yeah, very strong frame. Energy sustain is through the roof because you literally just make your own energy constantly. You have a 4 that turns back time. Usually is subsumed for something else, like damage related or utility even, but it's up to you. And yeah, very strong frame though. If we're going off of like, if this is like a normal tier list or whatever, S tier frame. I'm not debating anybody on that. It's S tier frame. So yeah, that is Protea. Revenant. Our third low investment but high output frame. Yes, you can use stuff to make Revenant better, but like, even me personally, I literally just run a casting speed. Like, if I'm ever using Revenant, it's just a casting speed shard, and I don't care too much. And it's only 3 forma on Revenant Prime, for example, and Revenant Prime is very cheap, platinum wise, to get if you were to spend platinum. But even just grinding normal Revenant isn't bad, and then grinding Revenant Prime, especially because I'm pretty sure it'll be out with this resurgence. Yeah, it's not gonna be hard to grind at all. I literally don't run anything other than like the generic stuff on Revenant. There's no need, really. Like, this is a frame that like literally cannot die, so you're not modding for survivability, you're modding for whatever else. Like, for instance, your power strength so that you can buff your damage. Stuff like that. Also, you have Reeve, which can literally just instant kill multiple enemies that are heavily armored or just high level. And obviously Enthrall, so that you are able to not waste Mesmer Skin charges fast. So that's always useful. And you don't even need PSF on Revenant because you are constantly in Mesmer Skin. If you're not in Mesmer Skin, you are not playing Revenant. So yeah, not hard investment wise to get to work at all. I mean, hold on, let me see. Do I have no more Revenant still? Let me check. Nah, I don't. I was gonna show like a unmodded one, but you know what? Hold on. I don't use this config like at all. If it'll load. Yeah, let's just do this. You have base 6 mesmer charges, which is literally 6 hits where you just cannot take damage, which is absurd. And then let's see here. If you're a newer player with like not a lot of endo or anything to upgrade mods, I mean, you still have enough to upgrade like Intensify probably. So 7 charges right there. Or let's see here. Where's another mod? Augur Secrets is kind of like not rare, but just not too easy to get. So I'm not gonna show that example. Power Drift you can get pretty cheap platinum wise, so I'll show it. Boom, 8 charges right there. That's 8 hits where you just literally can't die. And then let's see, 9 hits, can't die at all, impossible to die. And then when you get Umbral Intensify, for example, boom, 10 charges right there. And if you get Blind Rage and you max it out, 13 charges. Boom, 17 charges. Boom, 18. Like, as you can see, like, you're good. Like, this is like just one of those frames you just don't die. And I mean, this is the frame, you just don't die. So yeah. And versatile in the sense of like you can mod Revenant for literally whatever you want. If you, I mean, it's up to you, obviously. Whatever you want to mod him for damage wise. Like if you want to mod for primary, secondaries, melees, it's completely up to you. So yeah, I would argue low investment, high output. You don't have to put too much into Revenant for Revenant to be crazy. I mean, it's already crazy. Rhino is medium investment, in my opinion. Just because, I mean, you're either you're either running a build to maximize Iron Skin and maximize Roar for damage, faction damage, setups, or you are running now with the old piece update like Persistence or something, because yeah, Persistence is very crazy, very crazy. Or not Persistence. What's the arcane I'm thinking of? There's arcane that's like boosting Rhino crazy right now. Iron Skin was. Anyways, Saren. It does not take much to make Saren insane. That's all I'll say. Like, and when I say it doesn't take much, I mean it doesn't take anything really. Saren is just naturally like one of the crazier frames in the game when it comes to like damage and bro, this is gonna make me mad. The whole Aegis thing is gonna make me mad. Anyways, Saren is a room nuker. Always has been. Probably always will be, honestly. And yeah. If you get to Sedna and you farm arena points to do the Kayla the Thame boss fight, and you get Saren, I would think at that point in the game you have corrupted mods, you have equilibrium, all types of stuff like that. You're maybe have brief respite by that point if you do Titania's quest and all the other stuff, and you farm it. So I don't think it would be crazy to say that you have like I said, brief respite, equilibrium, cat shields, maybe rolling guard because you get arbitrations earlier now. So yeah, this is definitely a frame that benefits heavily from high investment for sure, but doesn't need it. I would have green charts on Saren, but they're on another frame that will be showing up later. Yeah, Saren is crazy. Saren's crazy. I don't know how else to put it. Like, if you play Warframe, you know Saren's wild. Sevagoth is high investment, high output, and it's really for one build. It's just for the Reap So, the 1 and 2. And you're running like strength and casting speed and roar just to destroy tile sets basically. And just really no enemies like live that. So yeah, high investment, high output for Sevagoth. And I'm saying that because like you're investing heavily into like one build. for this frame in particular. So yeah, and also if you're modding the shadow, that's the same thing as modding an exalted weapon, you know, of any kind. So yeah, Styanax. High investment, high output. Augments, shards, forma, and when you get Styanax, which is new war call mission farming. So yeah, might be one of those frames that is, well, he's one of those frames which is later, one later into like not annoying necessarily to farm, just kind of a limited farm because you can only get so many of those credits per week to turn in, and you want the Archon mods as well, which yeah, it's high investment. Titania. How do I put this? Titania went from being capture frame. Oh no, wrong thing. Titania went from being capture the frame to being easiest level cap for your life, the frame. And honestly, nah, I can't say low investment for this one. This is probably gonna be the only exalted weapon though that will be going medium investment, just because it doesn't actually take too much to make Dex Pixie is insane. And yeah. Yeah, medium investment actually. I forgot all about Dex Pixies for like a split second. I don't know how. But yeah, medium investment. It's probably gonna be our only exalted frame that's gonna be medium investment, but that's just because Titania, even without Dex Pixie, like I said, just very versatile for different mission types. And yeah, very strong frame. Trinity. I want to say either low investment, like for a medium output, or like probably high investment actually. Yeah, because you can make a lot of crazy Trinity builds currently, but it does require investment. Like I said, shards, forma, augments, subsumes. So yeah, and you have to do the ambulance fights for Trinity, which is not a fun fight. So yeah, there's that. Valkyr. Pre rework, I would have said this. Post rework, I'll say this. I personally didn't like the rework. I know I'm in the minority there for that, but yeah. Let's see. Now, what am I doing up here? Pre rework, there's just more build diversity for this frame, but it is what it is. I mean, this does more damage now. I mean, you can run Nourish, you can run Lycas, you can run Silence, Wrathful. Just a bunch of subsumes you can run on Valkyr. But even just base kit, because of new rip line, still really good. And what was I gonna say? I mean, I want to say medium for the current Valkyr, and like yeah, there's new builds now, technically for this frame, so yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with medium investment, high output, because definitely high output frame. easily. Vauban, high investment, high output. If you invest heavily into this frame, you are going to see crazy things with this frame. Just overall, very strong, very versatile. Uh, I mean, there's a million things you can do just differently on this frame randomly. Like, I mean, you could probably subsume. Let me think. You could probably do a bunch of just random builds. I don't know. I mean, you like obviously you have flechette orbs, you have your 4, you have your 1 for certain builds, and energy gen because of Archon stretch. There's just a lot. I don't know. Like I don't really I can't really dive into all of it currently. I have to like actually look at something to tell you like what all you could do with Volt 1. Subsume wise. Volt yeah. 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 It's another situation of for Volt, it's just another situation of like a Nyx or a Garuda in the sense of yeah, you don't need investment. Also, I have two different Volts, one for Eidolons, one for just general play. Let me go to the other one. You. Yeah. I mean, there's just different things you can do with Volt. Like I was saying, and Volt is like bar none still. Like even after all these years, it's still probably like top 5 most versatile frames, and he is not 5. I'll tell you that right now. Like there's just way too many builds you can do for something like Volt. And you can definitely argue best starter for Volt. I would argue best starter to be Mag, but I'm a little biased. But yeah. Varuna. I'm gonna put new shards on Varuna soon. I just took shards off. It was like blue shards or something for like energy max for purple shards. For the condition for the double critical damage on melee. But I'm not running. I'm currently in the middle of like reforming my Varuna for reasons. Yeah, actually, why not? Why didn't I just? Whatever. Um, Extremely strong frame. You get by the time you get Varuna, in my opinion, you're probably like in Steelpath already. Like you probably have Steelpath Arcane. You probably have a decent supply of like Steel Essence. Like you're probably farming at a like decent amount. So I would say like the meaning of like investment probably changed depending on like where like when you get the frame. I would like most people you're not getting this frame till Steelpath. In my opinion, I don't think you would get this frame till like Steelpath. That being said, if that's the case, you more than likely have the helmet, you more than likely have access to shards, you more than likely have access to arcane, Steelpath Arcane, like I said, arcane slots, different stuff like that. So, that being the case, I don't think, one, this is not a hard frame to farm at all, in the slightest. Um, Especially when you get this frame, it's just not hard to farm her at all. She's very strong, very versatile as well. Surprisingly, you would think it's just melee, but nah. She's almost like Kalerva in the sense that like you can you can go for the obvious like melee builds, but you can also do gun builds that like just room nuke. So yeah, great frame. I'd argue medium investment because of when you get this frame. I'd say it's a medium investment by the time you get to this frame in Steel Path and stuff. Yeah, this is just. I mean, you can get Rune Normal Path as well, but what I'm saying is like you're more than likely Steel Path. When you have access to Veruna, you're more than likely Steel Path. That being said, that's in my opinion medium investment because you probably have the tools to farm the frame by the time you get there. Wisp. Wait, maybe, do I want to order this? If I order this, I got to change the order like completely, completely. Uh, Hold on, let me think about this real quick. Let me see if I like the orders that I have currently. Because if I don't, then I'll change it. I'll do this. I'll do this. Hold on. I'm gonna change the order real quick. 1 second, chat. Yeah. Hmm. Hold on. Yeah, that's about right. I'm not gonna lie. That's about right. Alright. Yeah. Wukong. Wukong. Extremely versatile frame. Good at pretty much all content in the game. And you don't need to invest too much into this frame. Like, you just don't. Yes, Wukong has an exalted. Yes, you would need to former that exalted if you wanted to use it at higher levels. But um, I mean, you can just gun buff as well. You don't necessarily need it. You have 3 built-in lives. You have immune frames. You have like, and when I say immune frames, I mean like you have like gray health bar, without shield gating. If you just run Defy, you have, like I said, 3 lives, and one of those lives gives you 30 seconds of just straight immortality. And then also, what was I gonna say? Your 4 is pretty good currently, as long as you mod it. That's where the investment would come from. That's a choice though, more than anything. On this frame, more than the other exalted, in my opinion. Like that's just a choice. That's a choice. If you want it, then it turns into like medium to high. But if you don't, and you just trying to run like general, just general play stuff, then low investment. And this, I think, this is the only exception I'll make for exalted frame when it comes to investment. And then, yeah, yeah, that's probably the only exception I'll make when it comes to the Zaku. Yeah, probably right between Gauss and Octavian when it comes to like medium investment. High output though. Zaku is just extremely not really versatile actually. Can be actually. I can't really say that. Like it's like a very high damage, very hard to even be hit, especially if you're running a Sly Opophyla. What else? Mm, one of the easier frames to level cap with because I mean you don't necessarily need to shoot your guns at a certain point. You just steal guns from the enemies and that does it for you. Um, I don't know. Extremely strong frame. I'd argue medium investment in between like Octavia and Gauss, somewhere in that realm. You're really you're really high investment, high or medium. I don't know, like in between. Like if there's an in between, then Ureli's in between. Definitely, I would argue high output for sure on Ureli. If you like secondary weapons, if you like crit weapons, which most people do, uh, yeah, it's very fun to use Ureli. You're usually using augment mods though. You're usually using augments. You usually have Archon shards for secondary critical chance or critical damage, or you're running like corrosive shard for armor strip just to do more damage, so that also because enemies will have less effective HP. So yeah, I think I could say high investment for sure for Ureli. I mean, if you want to argue medium, you can. That's fine. But for me, I would say high investment. Zephyr, low investment, high output. Zephyr, from the second you get her, she will be ridiculous. I mean, quite literally one of those, like before Revenant, one of those frames that just can't die unless you get meleeed, obviously, because turbulence exists. Turbulence is ridiculous. Very, very, very good ability. People don't talk about Zephyr. What the? Okay, no, it's good. I accidentally pressed my mouse button, my side button. But yeah, uh, very, 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 very strong frame. If you're a newer player, the second, like by the time you can get Zephyr, like please, please use Zephyr. Zephyr is very strong. You don't have to invest much. You don't have to care necessarily about survivability mods because you're running turbulence. You're not getting hit. Like you're in the air, you're shooting things, you're getting free critical chance because you're in the air. Because of the passive that is like crazy good. And yeah, very strong frame. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of builds for Zephyr as well. Like very versatile. So you can bring Zephyr for, I mean, most content and like not feel like you're in the wrong spot with this frame. So I'd argue low investment, high output. Citrine. Yeah. Hmm. I'm gonna go with high output. I'm gonna go with high output because yeah, this is a frame that for the most part just base kit is great. I know you see Roar there, but what was I gonna say? Base kit is really good. I mean, it just depends on the build you want to go for. There's different reasons if you want to run. I mean, there's different reasons to run crystallize. Bro, I gotta put Aegis back on all my frames. It's crazy. Not all, but like most. Crazy. Anyways, extremely strong frame can make use of every Archon mod. I don't have Intensify because I don't really want to farm for it. I'll be real. I'll farm it at some point. Intensify is necessary actually, or you can't use Intensify on this frame necessarily because you need to heal. Forgot about that. That's not a status. It's a healing thing. So yeah, that's. I mean, you run most of the Archon mods on this frame, and that's like a easy layup because you are constantly spamming different statuses. Just spreading them all around. You have a free built-in energy income source. As long as you're in an equilibrium or something, you're fine energy-wise, or you should be. Extremely strong frame. I would say high investment though, because of the nature of the builds you're probably gonna make on this frame. So yeah. Calervo. Where's a criminal at? I gotta farm persistence, man. Or finish persistence farming, I guess, because. Let's see. Yeah, I'm 3 off. So I'll probably start farming some more later, but yeah, very insanely strong frame. You don't need persistence on this frame because this exists. Volatile recompense. This isn't augment, so yes, technically a band-aid frame. Technically. But like I said, it's not necessarily hard to get augments, and it's also not like it's very harmful. It's not like you're running 2 or more augments on the frame to make it work. That would be in my opinion like a band-aid territory where you're like, okay, yeah, this is crazy, like what am I doing? So yeah, this is a frame that I mean, if you don't even need it to be melee, meleeing rather, like you don't need a melee build necessarily on this frame. You can do a lot of different things. You can do a gun buffing build, same type of situation as Ivara. You can do, but like with snipers more than like you're probably running Vidari, you're probably running Sporthorx, you're probably running what's another sniper? Probably running Paragon actually. Like, there's just different things you can do with this frame that just are ridiculous. Like, the 3 alone allows you to just run a bunch of different weapons and spread the damage in a ridiculous radius. So that's something that exists. Calervo is just a great frame overall. Yeah. I don't really have much else to say about Calervo. I do think you can argue medium investment, but I'd say high. Corvex. I'm gonna be real. Even with like Fuse Crucible and stuff, he's not the best. Like, he's not really. There's definitely fun builds for Corvex. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's bad. He isn't necessarily bad. He's just there's just not too much you can do with this frame for what you're putting into him. So I'm gonna say high investment, medium output. I know the Corvex enthusiasts are gonna have an issue with that one, but whatever. Dante, yeah, high investment because yeah, he's another like more power strength sided frame. Also, you can be modding your Noctua if you're using it, but well, you are using it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, another exalted frame, but this one has ridiculous utility and support. So yeah, high investment. Jade. I don't know if I want to say high investment. I mean, she comes with 2 aura slots for free, which helps out with modding a lot. No, never mind. Her glory, uh, pistol. Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of modding actually. Yep. High investment, high output, very strong frame, buffs your operator, in cascade, also, like damage wise. So that's also really strong. Um, hard to. I don't know. I mean, there's like 2 builds I can think of for like Jade mainly that, and they're both like damage focused for like the 4th ability. So yeah, but still a strong frame, and I would argue high investment. Also, hold on. Let me. I'm doing the whole thing where I put them in a certain order. So let me. Probably. Yeah, probably this, and then probably. Actually, hold on. I might need to move Atlas down a little bit, like under. Yeah, here, and then you here. That's about right, honestly. Oh, wait. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Kome, underrated frame, very strong, very versatile. Just built-in versatility off of the decrees, and very good for high-level content and easy to farm early on. Because they decided to put Kome in Cetus for some reason. But yeah, Kome is very strong, very versatile. If you don't like decrees, understandable. But still, that doesn't discount that this is a very extremely strong frame. So yeah, high investment, high output. Sight, uh, yeah. Sight is one of the only frames that can use like Kuvazar, like pre. What was the update, man? It was like a year or 2 ago now. I don't remember. It was like when they nerfed the AOE ammo. So yeah, he's ridiculous. He makes a lot of weapons just absurdly strong. Um, and has a built-in sniper exalted that is very high investment. I mean, like, there's a lot of builds you could do with this frame. So high investment, high output for sure. You have an exalted as well, so off of that alone, that's kind of high output. I mean, high investment rather, because you're modding 2 separate things completely. The Gath, people sleep on this frame for some reason. Immortal frame, if you're running her properly, and you have the augment. I mean, it's 1 augment. It's not like you're running like 3, but yeah, very strong frame. You do want shards on the Gath. You do. You also definitely are forming the Gath like a decent amount. So yeah. Temple. I'm gonna put you here. People just stop talking about Temple for some reason, but Temple's extremely strong. Like, very, very strong. I mean, yeah, like a built-in shield gate ability that also provides you with ridiculous. I want to say status damage. I gotta reread it real quick. Hold on. I want to say it's status damage for some reason. Yeah, it's heat. I mean, I know it's heat, but it's like I don't remember if it's like literal, like the heat damage itself or the status damage, like the separate proc, but it's one of those two, and you get a lot of like just buffs for free using this frame. You do have to mod and exalted, so it's high investment. And yeah, Temple's good. Temple's really really good. Araxia spider frame, spider frame, spider frame. Yeah, I'll put you here. Um, there's not too much to say about this frame. This is a really strong frame that is able to buff weapons to a ridiculous degree, toxin damage wise, and another Sobek enjoyer. So yeah, Araxia is extremely strong, is able to just like, I mean, there's crowd control built in. You have your little minion spiders that actually do decent damage, like not nothing crazy, but like you are applying more toxin constantly with them, so they are very useful for that. And your 4 is really good. Also, the passive is extremely strong on this frame. Like, just having that like built-in invisibility is crazy for a lot of builds, especially like with like Crepuscular, for instance. Like, this is definitely a frame you can like benefit from running Crepuscular on. So yeah. Noko is next. Definitely Noko over Temple. The second newest frame this year, and one of the best frames we've gotten in a while. Like, just kit wise. I mean, this is a frame you can literally just sit there and let do everything. Like, honestly, I'm surprised people still have like a hatred for Octavia considering this frame exists. This is like unironically low key easier Octavia to an extent. Obviously, it's not the exact same, but I do think it's kind of ridiculous that you have this built-in bright bonus second ability that just gives you strength and energy constantly, and then you also are able to just have your 4 like destroy everything in your area. So yeah, this is a very strong frame. This is a very high investment frame though also, just because like if you want to maximize this, oh, I mean technically you don't have to maximize this frame, you just run range and some strength, but I still wouldn't argue medium investment on this frame personally. I just think this is one of those frames that you do want high investment on. This is one of those. So yeah. And Uriel, our newest frame. I'd say in between Noko and Temple, personally. I've seen people say that Uriel is better than Noko. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's kind of a recency bias thing, considering bro literally just came out, what, like 4 or 5 days ago, something like that. Very strong frame though. It's not to say that he's like weaker than Noko or anything. It's just to say that, in my opinion, Noko has more uses, for sure. Uriel is a very, very strong frame though. That's not to be like misconstrued. This is a great addition to Warframe. Very strong frame. Even just the base kit is like ridiculous. The passives are very unique. I do enjoy using this frame, and I do think this is a like, I don't know, like honestly, his current 4 is like what Ember needs. I'm not gonna lie, Ember needs this. Like, Ember just needs this as like a buff of some kind, because yeah, man, very strong frame, very like not even not side grade, not a side grade Ember, but just another flame frame that is extremely strong and can scale infinitely essentially. So yeah, great frames. I think most frames are like pretty good currently, depending on how you are investing into them. I mean that's just true regardless of like in Warframe. Uh, yeah, I hope you understand why I put each frame where I did.